everybody. We have the one and only Stephen Davis with us here today at America Fest. We are talking all things Turning Point USA contributor. We have the co-host of Campus Crashers. The list goes on and on. Stephen, what is going on? And tell us about all the things that you are involved in.
Oh, my. Staying busy, staying busy.
With the list going on and on, I don't even know how. You got 2 little kids, you're a husband. I mean, you got a lot going on.
There's a lot going on, and that's the beauty of it. Staying busy for the sake of my children and for the sake of my, the future, the next generation of individuals, passing the torch to them, passing the baton so they can run on to the future. But I've been staying busy with Turning Point USA. We're coming out with a documentary called Race War, in which we're going to showcase how the left and the media have coalesced together to put out a Marxist narrative to try to divide and conquer the American citizens within America to put us under their Marxist thumb to put on socialism and communism and that sort of thing.
Has this always been on your radar to be a conservative content creator?
Not in the least. And I got red-pilled in 2017, 2018, and it was one of those situations where I was like, okay, I want to jump into the realm of politics. There's this guy named Donald Trump. I was told to hate him, so I now do. Okay, I'm listening to all the mainstream media. Why would the media ever lie to us?
Were you getting most of your news at that time from television?
Absolutely, 100%, 100%. And that's, typical American. Now, at this point in time, you podcast and things of this thing kind of.
Oh, the landscape is definitely.
And we're glad for that. For me, at that time, I was all about mainstream news, and I said, you know what, I'm going to go after this guy named Donald Trump and his supporters, and I'm going to beat them all down with facts, and it's going to be glorious. I'm going to be able to beat my chest. It's going to be great. But first, to do my research and see what's really going on out here so I can be able to beat them down with facts. Yeah. I told myself.
So tell me about that. What was that journey like? What were you starting to read? Where did you go from there? And then how did you say, wait a minute, something's not right here?
Well, started with the Young Turks. Okay? I know. Terrible me.
I think it's important to watch I think conservative needs to watch the Young Turks, and they need to see those people are very top and they're very smart. Like, you need to see what the other side is actually putting out there. So, okay, start with the Young Turks. Then what?
Well, I was at that time, I was like, well, there's a lot of emotionalism in what they're saying. I don't need emotionalism. I need facts. Okay. So I looked at their video, watched the video. Then I was like, oh, wait a minute. There's this other guy. What's this? It was Ben Shapiro. Right. So I started listening to what he had to say. And I was like, you know what? I'm resonating with what he has to say. It's a little straight to the point. Facts don't care about your feelings, all that sort of thing. I was like, you know what? The evidence is right there. The facts, stats, and data are right there. He's presenting them to the American people. But it's a little too truthful. So I was like, let me sidestep a little bit. So I went to Steven Crowder. And then after Steven Crowder, I went to Charlie Kirk. And then I saw a unicorn. Candace Owens, a black conservative. What is that? So it was like this wake-up moment, especially when I was listening to her, the things that she had to say about the black community and black conservatives. I was like, wow, this is something I've never been presented with before.
Would you have actually, though, considered yourself, taking politics out of it, I mean, really at your core, in the black community, didn't you lean more conservative, technically, with your values and...
That I did, except when it comes to the topic of race.
Okay.
I was a very racist individual, believed a lot of the notions that float around the black community. White people are trying to oppress us, they're trying to hold us down and hold us back. Systemic racism is all around, and it's the unseen boogeyman that's going to get you. That sort of thing. I listened to all the narratives, and I believed that. So I had a lot of animus in my heart when it came to white people, right? So it wasn't, but typically, when it comes to black people, we're typically have more conservative values, but for some reason, we still lean liberal. And for some reason, even though we have some conservative values, we tend to be more socialistic. Right, there's a Cato Institute. They had not a poll, but they did some research on it. Did a study on this, and they showcased that over 2/3, or just under 2/3, of 62% of black people had a favorable outlook on socialism. 62%. right? And obviously, it's due to the Marxist indoctrination that's been happening since the early 1900s, that sort of thing. We've been attacked persistently with the Marxist socialistic message. So we have conservative values, but at the same time, for some whatever reason, obviously due to the Marxist ideology, we're leaning to the left. We're leaning toward Marxism. We're leaning towards socialism. So we really need to wake up and recognize our conservative roots and get back to that.
Was it scary for you when you did have this realization to leave the party?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Sorry about that.
All the names. I got called all the names. Cool, Uncle Tom, White Man's Slave, White Man's Dog, Race Trader, Self-Hater, Sambo, Oreo, you name it, I've been called. Okay? And it was just,
I've never dealt with that before.
no, never. Never. As long as you toe the line. As long as you do exactly what the leftist narrative tells you to do and think the way the leftist narrative tells you to think, you're left alone. But when it comes to actually waking up and doing some free thinking and thinking for yourself and actually doing some research into what it is that you espouse and what it is that you're supposed to believe, they don't like that. They don't like that at all. Right. As a matter of fact, during COVID, what did they say during COVID? You don't need to do your own research. You don't, conspiracy theorists. You want to be a conspiracy theorist, tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorists. They tried to make you feel like you are a bad person or a terrible person for doing your own research so that you can inform yourself instead of being spoon fed by the government. So when it came to me, as soon as I started doing my own research and start putting out my own ideas instead of repeating whatever the narrative that the news media told me to repeat, I started receiving a lot of backlash, or should I say blacklash, when it comes to the black community and the black liberal, including white liberals who were very upset with what I had to say. How dare I do such a thing as free think? So it was absolutely astounding. It was a wake-up call to let me know that I was on the right track. The more you come at me based on this emotionalism and all these subjective ideologies of what I'm supposed to think, the more you come at me, the more I am solidified in my mindset of what it is that I'm supposed to do and that I'm on the right track.
So I know you do a lot on current events, and with this fast-paced, ever-changing landscape on social media, how important is it for you to get your message out to people that people need to stay engaged and up to date with current events?
We have to. It's a must. It's a must. And it's important to me because, like you said, we have to know what's going on because a lot of times within the news media, they put out what it is, again, what they want you to know, what they want you to believe, their version of this. It's a sin of spit, right? When it comes to the news media, they put out a certain narrative. You're supposed to digest that, eat that, digest that, and regurgitate that on a consistent basis. And you're not supposed to question it. So when it comes to us, when it comes to actually putting out the truth, which is what we're supposed to do, we're supposed to be prepared as the truth. When it comes to us doing so, how else are we going to do that unless we have platforms? And first of all, how are we going to do that unless we do our own research when it comes to the matter and then have the platform to be able to do so? You have to stand on your soapbox. Everyone is a journalist. If you have a cell phone, if you have a camera, you have a recording capabilities, and you have a platform, you got to use that, get on your soapbox and put the truth out to the American people. Because when we do that, people change their minds and we can get America back on the right track. And we've been doing that.
When you really started speaking up about this, the truth, did you start to experience any type of censorship or suppression in your message on big tech platforms?
Oh, yeah.
Talk about that.
Shadow banning big time. Oh, goodness gracious.
How did you overcome it?
I just kept posting. I was like, you know what? At the end of the day, I may not reach the thousands, but I'm going to reach enough people that are going to have a impact. It's going to have an impact on these individuals, right? And it's going to change their minds and mindsets. Each one teach one, right? Now, if it's each one teach two, that's great. But each one teach one. As long as I can teach one person who could teach another person who could teach another person, then we're on the right track. This is what it's all about at the end of the day. So I do receive the shadow banning. Oh, goodness, especially on TikTok. I don't know how many times I've had my videos deleted. How dare I speak about abortion? How dare I speak about the left and the terrible things that they're doing? How dare I speak out against the racism that the left perpetuates on a consistent basis? How dare I speak out about the racism that the black community perpetuates on a consistent basis? How dare I? So, banned all the time. Shadow ban, definitely. But you keep posting to it, and at the end of the day, that's what we're supposed to do. The truth will set us free.
Great message. So tell me about Campus Crashers. I got to hear about this show. What are you guys doing? Who's the main audience? What's going on?
You know what? The Gen Z has been left out of the picture a lot of times, and it is necessary for us to capitalize on that when it comes to the right. especially when it comes to the leftist institutions like colleges and universities. So me and Anthony Watson, my co-host, my boy right there, we go out to these college campuses and combat the different prevailing narratives that are perpetuated throughout the leftist academia. So and we bring a message of hope. We're not overly divisive. We're not looking for a fight, but we know how to defend ourselves if it comes, right? And of course, I'm talking about not metaphorical, but arguments and things of that nature. So we go on the college campuses, we bolster and uphold the narrative of truth, right? And we teach the younger people, the younger generation, how to table, how to go out there and set up your table, and how to uh, have meaningful conversations. Not look to be combative. You're not looking to cause a fight and cause a scene or anything like that. But you just put out the message of truth in the best way and the message of love as well. And this is what we do in Campus Crashers. And
It sounds very grassroots for boots on the ground. That you're going. That seems very different to me than other content creators who really just want to prop themselves up on a social media platform, but not go get their hands and feet dirty. Have you experienced that in the content creator world?
oh yeah, that's all too common, which is unfortunate. Now I understand you want to grow your platform and that sort of thing, but my job is to have an impact on the next generation or on others, right? That's my main goal. Now, if I can do something and enrich myself while I'm at it, sure, cool, fine. But at the end of the day, my job is for others, right? And everything else will fall into place. A lot of other people, however, put themselves first instead of doing what is necessary for the sake of the movement, and they get lost in the accolades and things of this nature. And I think that really derails them and gets them off track.
Yeah.
And if they don't get the right amount of accolades, then they tend to get very depressed and they don't want to post anymore and they don't want to have nothing to do with the movement and they want to grift to the next thing that's going to make them money. We're in it for the long haul. We believe in the thing that we do. We did believe in the things we espouse, and we're going to keep pushing that.
So you seem like a very strong, muscular, fit person who, from the outside looking in, there's, that grandiose personality would be enough to get you through, like to give you the strength to deal with the haters. But where do you find your strength to get the courage to face and do what you're doing every single day?
The Bible, right? The Bible, the basic instructions before leaving earth, right? This is what we're called to do. We're called to put out the message of truth. Ultimately, give a message of hope, right? Help people see the Lord Almighty and come to Him and come to Christ. But giving them a message of truth, ultimately, and seeing what the Lord has done in my life. That is so turning my tests and my trials into a testimony so that people can resonate with and look at the Lord ultimately. Sure, we get the country off track, that's great, but at the end of the day, I'm looking at their soul salvation, and I want them to understand that they can do all things through Christ who gives them strength. We are called to be soldiers, we're called to be purveyors of truth. The Lord Almighty, Jesus Christ, all He did, He is the way, the truth, and the life. All He did was all about truth, living truth, embodying truth, and that's what we need to do as well. So that's where I get my strength from. My strength comes from the Lord.
Well, amen. I feel like I just went to church today, everybody. That's what it's like here at America Fest. And I love that. I mean, while there's a lot of people here that may not, subscribe to that religiously, that's okay. This is an open place, but you are also free to share your love for Jesus Christ. And I love that. And I thank you for what you're doing. For people that want to follow along with your journey, where can they do that?
Oh, you can definitely find me on Paula Stephen Davis 1776. Find me on Instagram, Stephen Davis 1776. On X, Stephen D 1776. And
I want to give one quick shout out for those that want to follow him on Parler. If you actually follow him, you will actually see his content. We got shout out ban. We do not put in crazy algorithms that make us, we don't get to decide if you want to see his content or not. You will see his content if you follow him. Getting back to the old school notion that if you want to follow someone, that means you want to see their content. Exactly. Thank you so much for your time today. I can't wait to have more conversations with you here soon.
I look forward to it, and thank you for having me.
Of course.